the Bosnian War was the third war in the series of wars in Yugoslavia. And by that point, everybody knew from step to step, from Slovenia, the first place, to Croatia, the second, that the third war was going to happen unless there was real intervention from the West. And so I went there as tensions were rising. And while I was there, I got a call that in this town, Bijeljina, had been split between Bosnian Serbs and Bosnian Muslims, and the civilians were fighting against each other. By the third or fourth day, Arkan arrived with his troops and said he was there to liberate the town from Muslim fundamentalists. And I asked him if I could go with his troops.
And he knew you from before?
And he liked the photograph so much of the tiger that he let me go with his troops. And I was able to then go with them and witness them as they were committing these war crimes. And so there's a photograph that's not here is of, this turns out that it's the butcher, his wife, and the sister-in-law. And at one point, I was able to photograph the wife trying to save the husband. The whole time they were telling me, no photographs, no photographs.
So the wife is in the white?
Yes.
And her husband is
right behind her.
Is right behind her. Yeah. And who was the other person?
The sister-in-law.
The sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So the husband was killed first, and while he's lying there bleeding, the wife comes out and pleads and tries to
save him.
Attend to him.
Yes. And then they shoot her.
And they shoot her.
Right.
And the sister-in-law?
Was brought out later, and then they shot her.
So, a couple of ethical questions here. Is there ever a time when you think that maybe it's too much to show the carnage?
I think it depends how you show it. I think it's important that in situations where I'm unable to stop something from happening, and unfortunately there have been many times like that, then it's the least that I can do to try to make sure that there's a document, that there's evidence of what occurred. In the town Vukovar, the picture you saw with the couple kissing, probably an hour before I took that photograph, I witnessed 2 other executions where it happened right in front of me. They didn't care that I was there. And then I tried to document it. I had a gun put to my head and told, if I take a photograph, they'll kill me. And I made a promise to myself that if I was ever in this unfortunate situation again, that if I couldn't stop it from happening, I would have to make sure that there was at least photographic evidence of what had occurred.
But didn't they tell you not to take these pictures?
They did. The whole time when they were shooting them and what was happening, they were screaming at me, no photographs, no photographs.
But you're still taking photographs when they're telling you not to take photographs and they're killing these people?
I am, because it was really, there had to be something that came out of it.
But did it not occur to you that they could turn the weapon on you?
It did occur to me. I was very nervous, and in this particular picture, which is the only photograph that I have of them with their victims, I was literally shaking as I took that picture, but I needed to make sure that there would be irrefutable proof that they were responsible for this. So all I was trying to do was just frame them with the victims. When this young guy he's a DJ, he lives in Belgrade, he's also a part-time drug dealer. He's very happy about this picture. He said it made him famous. Came from my left, and I was able to take that frame, and that was it.
What do you mean he came from your left?
I was standing in the middle of the street, and he didn't even see me. He just sort of came past me and did that, and I took one frame. I put the camera down, they turned and they looked at me, and I gave them a big smile and said, oh, let's go, and off we went.
Oh, I see. So you had cover, you did this surreptitiously.
No, I was standing there in the middle of the street. They just didn't see me do it.
They didn't see you do it. And you, in your book, you indicate that the soldier with the cigarette in his hand is actually kicking the couple after they're dead.
Yes, or they might even still be alive, I'm not sure.
And now this image was later used. Tell us about that.
This image, along with some other work of mine, was used in the International War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague to indict Arkan, and also in the Milosevic trial, as well as now we're waiting for a verdict against Radovan Karadzic, who is the political leader of the Bosnian Serbs. So it was also used against him in his trial, and hopefully there'll be an answer about his results soon.
At the time you took this image, were you thinking that it might be useful at some point in a prosecution?
No. Even at this point, there was no war crimes tribunal. The idea of journalists contributing to war crimes tribunal was not even a conversation, and it's a controversial conversation as it is. But this was just simply for me, the war hadn't really started, and I wanted these photographs to be published. and I wanted there to be a reaction. And the photographs were published in Time magazine and other magazines around the world. George Bush was still president. I thought to myself, he reacted 3 years earlier to my work in Panama. For sure, there'll be some sort of reaction here. There were already troops on the ground there to enforce the peace agreement for the other wars. There was no reaction. A week later, the war kicked off, and now here we are celebrating this week the signing of the 20th anniversary of the Dayton Peace Accords.